Actually,
I think it's
I'll just,
important.
yeah, so I'll cut you here. I asked this question because now you mentioned fixing the educational system. Now, the students go out, or some parents would rather have their children go abroad. Of course, those who can afford it, which are, of course, a few. Now, I remember when the River State government, sometime in 2011-12, thereabout, had the scholarship scheme. The River State government under GBK Rotimi Amechi to send some students abroad. If the educational system was so important to the Nigerian government, would that be a scholarship to send students abroad, which Ukraine, Cyprus, and some other countries were part of this country that students of River State had to go abroad? Of course, they couldn't finance it after some years, so they asked the students to come back, now stranded again. But then, if the system was so important to the government, of course, there's some other Nigerian scholarship that offer to send students abroad. So rather than fixing the educational system, even the government itself are sending students abroad. So what do we now say about that particular incident?
Thank you, my dear. No doubt, we are still practicing what we call neo-colonialism in Nigeria. You know, we haven't. We feel we are actually free from our colonial masters, but indeed we are not entirely free, because we still subject ourselves to their whims and caprices. We still believe so much in their own system there. And it's unfortunate, just like you said, that, you know, government institution for that matter would send, you know, their citizens abroad on scholarship. What stops you from, you know, making the state school, state university, further universities in this country? What stops us from making them a better place for these people to study here at home, and also add value to what is to the educational system here? But because we still believe that we are not better than our colonial masters, that's what neo-colonialism simply means. We still feel that we are not better than our colonial masters. We still believe that our skin is still inferior to the white man's skin. That's why we still believe that anything that has to do with the white is still the best. And we can't continue this way. The same thing most of these our governors usually do. They will claim they are looking for investors. They travel abroad, trying to bring in foreign investors. They say FDI and all that. And I wonder, are you saying there are no business tycoons in this country that can also develop our country through their businesses? Are you saying that there are no small-scale entrepreneurs that can also develop, you know, our small-scale, you know, businesses in this country? But we just love seeing white people come into our country and, you know, do stuff with us instead of developing ourselves. So it's quite unfortunate. And that's why I'm saying that it's better for us to develop our own educational system. In fact, this the current amendment, you know, the constitutional amendment that is going on, some of us would have wished that a particular clause is included, that anybody, any public office holder should have their children in public schools, should have their wives attended to in public health centers. Because the moment we begin to, you know, see what is happening in some of these public schools, public health centers, public facilities, then you will pay attention to some of these public facilities, you know, during your administration or whatsoever. So it's important that we begin to, you know, appreciate what we have in this country, see how we can develop it, and see how we can make it a better place.
Okay, thank you very much for that thought. Let's bring it back to the context of the discourse. Majority of the evacuees or the returnees are students. Now, let's look at their plight, because some of them are probably in their final year, some have just started their schooling over there. Where do they go from here, and how do they readjust to the educational life here? Because you mentioned earlier that ASU is on strike, the educational sector also needs to be reformed. So since the vast majority are students, how do they get back into their various educational programs?
Well, it's unfortunate they are victim of this current circumstance, and just like even those that are in the country, they are also victims of the circumstances we find ourselves in this country. Because of course in Nigeria, you and I we know that a 4-year course sometimes can take more than 7 or 8 years for a Nigerian student, and the effect of these on their life, on their not even just even on their emotions and all that, can't be quantified. So it's unfortunate that some of these our brothers and sisters who left this country thinking that they will be better off in Europe are also now caught in another unfortunate circumstances. So we can only hope that they would pick up from where they stop, because we all are victims. Even those that are in this country, we are victims of these current circumstances, you know. And for them too, they should also bear it. It's part of the things that one has to go through as a human being in this part of the world. So please, it's not as if I'm not sympathetic with their situation, but this is where life finds us, and we just have to, you know, make a way out of it. So I sympathize with them. I empathize if there is need to also empathize, you know, but at least they just have to pick it up from where they find themselves.
All right.
Okay. Quick one. Ukraine is known as one of the best, you know, countries that has medical colleges and schools, as it were. So there's some quarters that are saying for these medical students that are back home due to the war, that probably they should be, you know, incorporated into the medical schools here, the medical colleges. Do you subscribe to that assertion or that thought?
Fantastic. I think it's a brilliant idea, because that's even one of the reasons why most of these are students. If you check most of the students in Ukraine today, they are those who went there to study, you know, science-related courses, because they seem to be one of the best in that regards. And so please, as they are coming back to the country, why not? Nigerian government should probably absorb them into the medical schools here. They will, I'm pretty sure they will add value. And if the schools are also open-minded, they should be able to receive some of the new ideas that these students will, you know, bring on board into the system here in Nigeria. And of course, I want to also believe that if we can give them an enabling environment to thrive, we should be hopeful that our health system will be revamped through the knowledge that these ones have acquired over time in their, you know, in their school abroad, and which is now being transferred into our country here in Nigeria. So I think they should be encouraged to, you know, to be absorbed into the medical schools here in Nigeria, where I think they will pretty much add value to the educational system. And of course, even after they have graduated, they also add value to the health sector of this country. We really need to make this country work, and all hands must be on deck to ensure this is done.
Now, talking about an enabling environment to thrive, which you just mentioned. Now, one of the Nigerians who are stuck in Ukraine and said he refused to return because what he mentioned that he's been in after NYSC, he's 35 years old, and he left for Ukraine in 2020, and in 2 years he said the progress he has recorded is nothing to be compared with how he was in Nigeria. He mentioned being a graduate of engineering, and the striking point he made was Nigerian system psychologically assaulted him, that he rather remains there. He also said that coming back to Nigeria, what do you expect of me? He knows the war would end, but in Nigeria, he's not sure of anything, so he rather die or... Now, talking about an enabling environment to thrive, imagine such a brilliant mind as that rather chooses to be or trust a system which he was not born in, rather than trust his own system. So how can the government or Nigerians make sure that the environment is enabling to thrive, not just about mentioning it, but also put it into actualizing it and making sure it's really an enabling environment to thrive?
All right, thank you. You see, the truth about life is that, like the street word that is being used majorly now in the country, they will say this life no balance. Understand? So nothing is balanced anywhere, even in the so-called European countries. Not as if they don't also have certain number of unemployed graduates over there.
We have 30 seconds, so I would appreciate if you just wrap up in 30 seconds. All
right, and that does not mean that things cannot also work. Things are not also working in Nigeria. So I rather encourage, just like I said earlier on, those Nigerians who have stayed abroad, Nigerians who have enjoyed some better facilities abroad, can we just come home and let us fix this country together? If Asiwaju is, you know, working hard in the political sector and is just there alone, and nobody is supporting him, he may not be able to do any magic. But if you have some of these folks who have traveled abroad and have experienced better living and all that, if they come back home to support Asiwaju or to support anybody that is in Nigeria that is making, you know, a certain level of difference in their area of you know, calling, then Nigeria can be a better place to live in. So I encourage you, my brother, Let us come home and let us fix this country together.
Well, we hope that works. Thank you so much, Asiwaju, for sharing your thoughts on this conversation. And now coming next is sports. We take the sports segment after the short break, so please stay with us.